Welcome to a heartfelt journey where we explore one of life's most tender transitions, the changing bond between parent and child. As the years pass and roles shift, we often find ourselves holding on to memories of tiny hands that once clung to us while learning to open our hearts to the adults they are becoming. Today, let's walk together through the emotions, the challenges, and the unbreakable love that time can never erase. Understanding the changing parent-child relationship. Children mature into adults. The relationship between parent and child naturally undergoes significant changes. In the early years, parents are the central figures in a child's life, caregivers, protectors, and decision-makers. The world revolves around you, and your role as their primary source of love, guidance, and security is unquestioned. However, as time passes and children reach adolescence and young adulthood, they begin to seek more autonomy. They strive to establish their own identity, make their own decisions, and experience the world on their own terms. This shift is an essential part of their development and a necessary step toward independence. For many parents, this transition can be both bittersweet and painful. It's not uncommon to feel as though your once close-knit bond is slipping away. You may feel pushed aside, unappreciated, or even disrespected as your child becomes more distant, more self-reliant, and more focused on their own life path. The emotional weight of this change can be overwhelming, and the natural inclination may be to try to hold on to the past, to the way things once were when your child needed you for everything. Yet it's essential to remember that this transformation doesn't lessen the love your child has for you. On the contrary, their need to grow and discover their own path is rooted in the foundation of love and trust you've built together. It is their way of stepping into adulthood with confidence. They may not always express it, but their journey toward independence is a reflection of everything you've taught them about resilience, courage, and self-sufficiency. However, as a parent, it's crucial to understand that while their growth is necessary, it should never come at the cost of your own emotional well-being or dignity. The shift in the relationship doesn't mean you should lose your sense of self or your place in their life. It's vital to recognize your worth, honor your feelings, and establish clear boundaries in how you expect to be treated. Just because your child is carving out their own path doesn't mean you should feel forgotten or discarded. The love you have for each other should evolve but remain strong, filled with respect, understanding, and open communication. Why setting boundaries is an act of love. Setting boundaries in a relationship is not about erecting walls that create distance, but rather about building bridges that foster mutual respect and understanding. Boundaries are essential for maintaining healthy, balanced relationships. Without them, relationships can easily become strained, one-sided, or filled with resentment. When you set clear, firm boundaries, you are not only protecting your own emotional well-being, but you're also teaching your children valuable lessons about the importance of respecting others' needs and feelings. Boundaries show them that relationships are built on mutual respect, compassion, and healthy communication, all of which are the pillars of a loving and enduring connection. So, when should you set boundaries? Boundaries become necessary when you find yourself in situations where your emotional health is being compromised. For instance, when interactions leave you feeling drained, sad, or unappreciated, it's a sign that something needs to change. If your efforts are constantly taken for granted without any acknowledgement, you may feel as though you're giving more than you're receiving. Similarly, when disrespectful words or actions from your child become a regular pattern, it can be a clear indication that boundaries need to be established to maintain your emotional balance. Additionally, if you find that you are always the one giving, whether it's time, energy, or resources, with little or no reciprocation, it's time to reevaluate the dynamic and set boundaries that ensure fairness and mutual respect. But setting boundaries is not always easy, especially when it involves loved ones. So, how can you set boundaries effectively without causing tension or conflict? The first step is to communicate openly and calmly. Express your needs and feelings without resorting to anger or frustration. Use I statements to take ownership of your emotions and to avoid placing blame. For example, you might say, "I feel hurt when I'm spoken to," in a harsh tone, rather than, "You always speak to me so rudely." This approach fosters understanding and minimizes defensiveness. Consistency is key when it comes to maintaining boundaries. It's important to stand firm in your expectations without guilt. Boundaries are a form of self-care and self-respect, and it's essential not to feel guilty about protecting your emotional health. Let your children know that you are unwavering in your commitment to maintaining boundaries, and that these boundaries are not negotiable. Lastly, it's essential to outline consequences when setting boundaries. While you want to express your expectations kindly, it's equally important to explain what will happen if those boundaries are crossed. For example, you can say, "If the disrespect continues, I will need to step away from this conversation until we can communicate more respectfully." This lets your children know that their actions have consequences, and it teaches them accountability in relationships. By setting healthy boundaries, you are teaching your children that respect is not optional. It is a fundamental requirement for any meaningful, lasting relationship. Setting boundaries is an act of love, not only for yourself but for them as well, as it helps create an environment where everyone feels heard, valued, and respected. Cultivating emotional independence for your happiness as a parent, it's completely natural to crave love, appreciation, and approval from your children. After all, you've dedicated years of your life to raising them, nurturing them, and guiding them through their formative years. But it's important to recognize that relying solely on your children for your emotional happiness can be deeply unfulfilling and ultimately heartbreaking. While their love and admiration are undoubtedly valuable, your sense of self-worth should never hinge entirely on their attention, approval, or validation. It must come from within. Building emotional independence means that your happiness doesn't rely on someone else's behavior, opinions, or actions. You are responsible for your own emotional well-being, and it's vital to cultivate this sense of self-sufficiency. When you start nurturing your emotional independence, you empower yourself to experience life with greater peace and confidence, regardless of the circumstances or how others may treat you, including your children. So how do you begin nurturing your emotional independence? Here are a few key ways. Pursue your passions. Rediscover the things that once brought you joy and fulfillment. It could be revisiting hobbies you put aside when you became a parent, or exploring new activities that ignite your enthusiasm. Whether it's painting, writing, cooking, or gardening, taking time for your passions adds richness and purpose to your life. These activities not only allow you to express yourself, but also give you a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Expand your social circle. Your children are a significant part of your life, but it's essential to have a well-rounded social network to support and enrich you emotionally. Seek out new friendships, rekindle old ones, or get involved in community groups. Volunteer organizations, local clubs, or hobby groups can be great places to connect with like-minded people who share your interests and values. These relationships can provide a fresh source of joy and validation, and remind you that there is a world beyond the role of parenthood. Prioritize self-caretaking. Care of yourself is not just about physical well-being. It's about nourishing your mind and spirit too. Make self-care a priority in your life. This can mean different things to different people, from maintaining healthy habits like exercise, eating nutritious foods, and getting enough rest, to engaging in activities that nurture your emotional health, such as meditation or journaling. Additionally, practicing positive self-talk and surrounding yourself with uplifting content can foster a mindset of self-compassion and emotional strength. Celebrate your achievements. Reflect on all that you've accomplished, both as a parent and as an individual. The role of a parent is undoubtedly important, but remember that you are also a unique and capable person with goals, dreams, and personal achievements that deserve to be recognized. Celebrate the milestones you've reached, whether they're small or large. This acknowledgement helps you appreciate your worth beyond your identity as a parent and reinforces the idea that your happiness doesn't depend solely on your children's validation. By taking these steps to cultivate emotional independence, you not only uplift yourself, but you also set an example for your children. When they see you living a fulfilling, balanced life that doesn't rely on them for happiness, they're more likely to develop a greater sense of respect and admiration for you. Moreover, it empowers them to live their own lives with a sense of emotional autonomy, encouraging them to seek fulfillment from within as well. How to respond to disrespect. Calmly and powerfully. Disrespect from your adult children can be incredibly painful. After all, you've dedicated years of love, care, and effort into raising them. And when they treat you disrespectfully, it can feel like a personal betrayal. However, it's important to understand that reacting with anger, frustration, or guilt only serves to escalate the situation and diminish your own sense of self-respect. Instead, the key is to respond with calm strength, clear communication, and a firm commitment to maintaining your boundaries. When you face disrespect, it's important to handle the situation in a way that both protects your emotional well-being and teaches your children how to treat you with respect. Here's how to respond effectively. Stay calm. The first step is to take a deep breath and remain as calm as possible. Responding out of anger or hurt can cloud your judgment and lead to words or actions that you may later regret. When you stay calm, you communicate that you are in control of your emotions and that you are not going to be easily shaken by disrespectful behavior. Name the behavior. Instead of attacking your child personally, focus on identifying the behavior that is troubling you. In a calm but firm tone, say something like, "It hurts me when you speak to me in that tone," or "I feel disrespected when you ignore my feelings." By focusing on the behavior rather than making it about them as a person, you're less likely to provoke defensiveness, and you increase the chances of a constructive conversation. Reinforce boundaries. Let your child know what behavior is unacceptable, and remind them of the respectful standards you expect in your relationship. It's important to be clear and firm, but always express yourself with kindness. For instance, you could say, "I expect to be spoken to with kindness and respect. If that doesn't happen, I will need to step away from this conversation until we can communicate more respectfully." Reinforcing your boundaries sends a strong message that you won't tolerate disrespect and that maintaining mutual respect is non-negotiable. Enforce consequences. Sometimes, merely setting boundaries isn't enough. If your child continues to disrespect you despite your efforts to communicate and reinforce your boundaries, it may be necessary to enforce consequences. This could mean limiting your involvement in certain situations or reducing communication until mutual respect is restored. For example, if you continue to speak to me this way, I will need to take a break from this conversation until we can both be respectful. Be consistent and firm in enforcing your boundaries, as this teaches your child that their actions have consequences. By responding to disrespect in a calm, firm, and loving manner, you teach your children how to treat you with respect. Remember, your children learn how to treat others by observing how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you. By setting and enforcing boundaries, you send the message that you deserve to be treated with dignity, no matter the circumstances. Building a relationship based on mutual respect healthy. Thriving relationships are built on the foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and open communication. In the parent-child dynamic, this means acknowledging and supporting your children's right to live independently and pursue their own goals and identity. At the same time, it's equally important to affirm your right to be treated with kindness, dignity, and honor. Both you and your children deserve a space where you are respected and valued, and this mutual respect is essential to the longevity and strength of your relationship. Cultivating mutual respect doesn't happen overnight. It's a continuous effort that requires patience, understanding, and consistent actions. It's about creating a balanced environment where both parties feel heard, valued, and understood. As your children grow older and seek autonomy, this balance becomes even more crucial, as they begin to make their own decisions and chart their own paths in life. Respecting their need for independence while still maintaining a connection built on shared values and mutual regard can be challenging, but it is incredibly rewarding. Here's how you can cultivate mutual respect in your relationship with your children. Practice active listening. One of the most important ways to foster respect is by truly listening to your children. This means engaging in conversations without interrupting, without judgment, and without the intention of immediately offering solutions. Active listening involves fully focusing on what your children are saying, understanding their point of view, and validating their feelings. When children feel heard and understood, they are more likely to reciprocate that respect and engage in open, honest dialogue with you. Engage in open conversations. Creating a relationship based on mutual respect requires open, honest, and vulnerable communication from both sides. Sharing your own feelings with your children in a calm, non-accusatory manner encourages them to do the same. Be transparent about your emotions, needs, and expectations. However, it's important to avoid blaming language and instead focus on expressing how certain behaviors or situations make you feel. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel unheard when you don't acknowledge my perspective." This encourages a constructive dialogue and shows that you value both your feelings and theirs. Show empathy. Empathy is an essential tool in building mutual respect. Try to understand your children's pressures, challenges, and struggles. As they grow into young adults, they will face new obstacles and responsibilities that you might not have experienced in the same way. By putting yourself in their shoes, you can offer guidance and support with greater compassion. This helps them feel supported and less judged, fostering a bond rooted in respect and care. Lead by example. As a parent, your actions speak louder than words. Demonstrating respect, understanding, and kindness toward your children will encourage them to mirror these behaviors. Treat them with the same courtesy, thoughtfulness, and patience you would show to any other adult. Showing them that you respect their boundaries, opinions, and autonomy will teach them to do the same for you. Children often learn more from observing their parents' actions than from listening to advice, so leading by example is one of the most effective ways to cultivate mutual respect. Mutual respect is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship, and when it's nurtured, it creates a deeper, stronger, and more meaningful bond between you and your children, one that can withstand the tests of time, conflict, and change. A relationship based on mutual respect fosters a sense of safety, love, and understanding that can last a lifetime, allowing both parents and children to continue evolving as individuals while remaining connected. When to seek support despite your best efforts. There may come times when the emotional strain of navigating your relationship with your children feels overwhelming and too heavy to bear alone. If the challenges you face begin to cause significant emotional distress, or if the dynamics of your relationship become too strained to repair on your own, it's essential to acknowledge that seeking external support is not only okay, but it can also be incredibly beneficial. There is no shame in seeking help, and it does not mean you are failing as a parent. On the contrary, it demonstrates great strength and wisdom to recognize when you need support, as it shows your commitment to the well-being of both yourself and your children. Seeking help from a counselor, family therapist, or support group can provide a safe, non-judgmental space where you can express your feelings, gain new perspectives, and receive guidance on how to improve your relationship. A therapist or counselor can help you explore the deeper emotional dynamics that might be contributing to the issues in your relationship, such as past hurts, unresolved conflicts, or communication challenges. They can also equip you with the tools to navigate difficult conversations, manage your emotions, and establish healthier patterns in your relationship with your children. Support groups can also offer valuable insights, as they allow you to connect with others who may be experiencing similar challenges. Sharing your story with others and hearing theirs can help you feel less isolated and more empowered to tackle the issues you're facing. Remember, No matter how much time passes, no matter how relationships evolve, your love, your sacrifices, and your presence will always matter. Growth may change the shape of the bond, but true love, the kind that built their world, remains forever. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful reflection. If this touched your heart, don't forget to share, like, and stay connected for more such journeys into life's most meaningful moments.